Hey guys, it's Madison and welcome to this video in which I'm going to be reviewing a new Chinese resource, new to me, not new in existence. I'm going to be looking at the website mandarinbean.com. I believe it's been around since around 2018-ish, but I've never used it before, so I'm going to give it a shot today. If you have followed me for a while, you probably know that typically I only use one resource for my Chinese learning, my active study at least, and that is Do Chinese, the app. I have used Do Chinese for several years now, I think since around 2019, 2020-ish. I'm not sure exactly when I first used it, but it's been, like I said, several years. And honestly, I never really felt the need to look beyond this app, really. I've always felt that I get enough Chinese exposure through just watching shows and then also reading some on the Do Chinese app, especially since learning Mandarin has always been more of kind of a side quest for me and just kind of a fun hobby on the side, and never one of my kind of top priorities as far as learning languages is concerned. And so Do Chinese has been enough to satisfy me throughout the past several years. But Mandarin Bean, this website was mentioned by one of my commenters, I think probably like a year ago now. It's been quite a while since they mentioned it, and I briefly glanced at it and thought, oh, that's an interesting looking site that offers some free resources. And so I kind of made a mental note to go back and check it out at some point. And finally, that point has arrived today. So a few minutes ago, I already opened up the site and I've been kind of poking around on it for like 5-ish minutes, just seeing what they have to offer. I haven't really like actually tried to read anything or gone too in depth. I've just been kind of seeing what is there on the site, and so far it looks pretty interesting. So let's take a look at what they have to offer. So I'm taking a look at the homepage here. It seems like their biggest selling point is graded reader style reading lessons, which is very similar to Do Chinese. And they promise easy access to study materials that are high quality, contextual, and definitely not boring. So we'll see if that actually holds true as I begin to look through some of their lessons. But taking a look at their kind of promises here, it looks like all of their graded reader lessons are free. They're all categorized by HSK level. They have instant word translations, which seems similar to Do Chinese. And in addition to that, they also apparently offer full transcripts as well. They have pinyin, of course. You can choose either simplified or traditional Chinese. And it looks like the audio is officially recorded by Chinese teachers. And so it is human audio and not just computer readings of the text. So that looks promising. And they also offer some grammar exercises and some HSK exam prep stuff as well. So I'm going to kind of play around with the site for probably an hour-ish or so. We'll see. I'm going to kind of poke around in all the areas, in some of the graded readers, in the grammar stuff, and in the test prep as well, just to see kind of all the things they have to offer for free. And then after I check out all those areas, I'm going to report back to you guys my first impressions overall for this site. All right, so about an hour and a half has passed of me playing around with all the different features and different kinds of content on Mandarin Bean, and I think I'm ready to give my opinions as far as my first impressions go. Obviously, still only an hour and a half of experience. I don't know everything there is to know about the site, but I think I know enough to give my overall thoughts and opinions on whether or not I'll be using different parts of this site in my own personal Chinese learning journey. So starting out, I'm going to talk about the kind of graded reader lesson content, because that is definitely the biggest kind of section of content on their site. They have over 750 lessons spanning from HSK 1 all the way up to HSK 6 plus. And the fact that all of those lessons are not behind a paywall, it's all available for free, is quite nice. There are certain features that are behind a paywall, like full translations, exercises, stuff like that. But the basics of every lesson, the actual lesson slash story slash news article or whatever, the pinyin and meaning of individual words, the audio, all of that is available for free on their website. So definitely very, very nice, much better than Do Chinese in terms of available free content. Do Chinese is more of a freemium style where they make their articles or stories available for a couple of days after they're released, but then they go behind a paywall and you have to pay to access the majority of their content. So definitely in terms of availability of free content, Mandarin Bean is by far the winner in that category. However, in terms of the actual kind of quality of the reading experience or all the different features on the site, I think Do Chinese is stronger in almost every single category, just in my personal opinion. The design, I think, is better on Do Chinese compared to Mandarin Bean. Also, the audio, I think, is superior on Do Chinese as well. They do have professional Chinese teachers reading each lesson slash story slash article, which is very nice on Mandarin Bean. However, it seems very kind of homegrown in terms of quality. Like the audio is often very fuzzy or a little bit peaky or just not the highest quality of recording equipment or location. So I was a little bit disappointed in that just because it was a little bit distracting how fuzzy or peaky it was at times. And so just a kind of minor nitpick there. Again, it was very nice that they have native speaker, professional Chinese teacher audio, which is obviously very nice, but much better than a kind of computer generated audio track, but definitely a step below the more professional sounding audio recordings of Du Chinese. You can alter the audio speed if you want to on Mandarin Bean, but unlike Du Chinese where they kind of highlight the words as they read them aloud for you in the reading, there is not that feature on Mandarin Bean as well, so you have to actually pay attention yourself to keep track of where you are in the reading, which isn't the hugest deal, but it is a very nice feature to have if you can. Again, I think that is stronger on Du Chinese, but again, definitely a solid foundation of content available on Mandarin Bean for sure. One thing that I noticed on Mandarin Bean that I wasn't a huge fan of is the fact that they have spaces between all of the words on all the lessons from HSK 1 all the way up to HSK 6 plus. And so that is not a natural way for Chinese to be written. There's not usually spaces between words in Mandarin, and so I thought it was a bit strange that all their lessons have these built-in spaces between words. I'm not sure why it's like that, maybe because of their like word parsing software for their like pinyin and definitions. They have to have it that way, but I just noticed it and thought it was a bit strange that all of their content, including the more advanced content, has those spaces. I can see how it could be helpful to have it as an option or even just always there for the more beginner content, because when you're a very beginner, it's hard to like parse out where one word ends and the next begins. But because that's not how actual Mandarin is written in the wild, it seems strange that it has that feature automatically on every single lesson on the site. So a bit strange in terms of the spacing. They had quite a wide variety of content. For me, my favorite content on Du Chinese are the stories, like the serialized stories. And they don't have any of those kind of serialized stories or super long stories on Mandarin Bean. So I was a bit disappointed there because that is my favorite content on Du Chinese. But that is, of course, behind the paywall on Du Chinese as well, so not really an apples to apples comparison. But in terms of the kinds of content they have news articles. They do have stories, but they're not really truly stories in my opinion. They're very short for stories, but they have kind of more fun content. They have more business, especially some of the advanced content is very business, economics, world news, some very kind of high level topics for sure. They have kind of like living in China stories, lifestyle stories, so quite a wide variety of content for sure. No matter what you're looking for, I'm sure they'd have something that would suit you for sure. And in terms of the length, I think a majority of the articles are from like 100 to a few hundred characters long. A couple of them are quite long, especially the like life in China / lifestyle tagged stories or articles seem to be quite a bit longer than most of the others, which are kind of more on the kind of paragraph size-ish length. Some of the life in China ones are much longer, even at the like more beginner levels as well. So I was pretty impressed with some of the length of a few of those articles for sure. But generally very bite-sized content for sure, 100 to a couple hundred characters long for the most part. A couple other things that I noticed in terms of features that Du Chinese does have that Mandarin Bean, or at least the free version, does not have. Number one is tracking your progress. On Du Chinese, even if you only have the free account, you can still mark things as read and track kind of what you've done over time, whereas on Mandarin Bean, you can only keep track of the articles that you've read if you have paid membership. So that's something to keep in mind if you like progress and that kind of information to be saved on the site. It's not an option for the free version of Mandarin Bean, although again, it is there if you want to pay. There's also no in-site flashcard system or SRS system like Du Chinese has, both for their free and premium accounts. It seems like if you get one of the paid accounts on Mandarin Bean, they do have like flashcards that you can download or use on Quizlet, I think, but it doesn't seem to be the same as Du Chinese where you can actually like click on a word, save it, and review it on the actual site. And again, flashcards are not the end all be all in terms of usefulness of language sites. It's just a nice feature that Du Chinese does have that Mandarin Bean does not. However, there is one thing that Mandarin Bean has that Du Chinese does not have in terms of their graded reader content, and that is that Mandarin Bean also seems to have a YouTube channel where they have quite a lot of their reading lessons available on YouTube as well, where they read the story once with their standard speed audio, once a bit slower, and they have some questions to answer as well. And on the YouTube video, unlike on the website, it actually does highlight the sentences as they read through them. And so even though you don't have the like interactive features like hovering over a word obviously on a YouTube video to show the opinion or meaning, you can follow along better to the audio. So that's a nice additional feature for sure. And also those quiz questions on the video are also kind of a nice reading comprehension test as well. I think they have just over 250 of their lessons available on that YouTube channel, so quite a few of them there as well. So that's an extra kind of nice feature as well. But yeah, overall, I think as far as the graded readers are concerned, I'm definitely going to be sticking with Do Chinese and probably not using Mandarin Bean too much for that. But I am, of course, paying for a majority of that content. Like I said, they don't have a ton of just free content available on Do Chinese. They do have some that gets updated pretty regularly. So you could just use Do Chinese for free if you wanted to at that kind of higher quality experience. But if you're looking for the most bang for your buck in terms of like the most free content available and you don't care as much about the high quality feeling / design / all the extra little features that are available, then Mandarin Bean I think is definitely stronger for sure. So definitely something that I would recommend checking out if you're looking for some free Mandarin reading comprehension content. So those are my thoughts on the graded reader section of the website. However, they do have other kinds of content available as well. First of all, they have a whole grammar section of their website. So if you are interested in learning grammar, I think they offer quite a bit of grammar lessons / explanations / exercises. So definitely a good resource to check out for free Mandarin grammar practice if you're looking for that. Honestly, I don't really study grammar for Mandarin. When I'm reading my stories, I don't usually find that I have any difficulty understanding sentences. However, I did kind of take the grammar level test for HSK4 and it was surprisingly difficult. I realized as I was taking it that I don't actually know the kind of nuance and ins and outs of all the rules of when to use one phrase versus another. I recognize a lot of them in sentences, but I'm not sure exactly how some things are used versus others. So I realized actually my grammar is actually pretty weak in terms of like intermediate or advanced nuances of grammar rules. I'm pretty solid on the basics, but intermediate is weaker than I expected it to be based on this level test at least. But yeah, I did explore a little bit of the grammar page. Like I said, I was very impressed with the number of lessons that are available. Again, all the lessons are available for free, or at least all of the different grammar points are available for free. The videos are not. The videos that are like associated with each lesson that explain it kind of verbally to you with like a PowerPoint slide basically on the video screen. Those are only available if you are a member of the website. But I found that even with just the free features, it's still definitely usable, and I actually might use this site for grammar practice in the future. Now that I am realizing how inadequate I am at actually like being able to use grammar effectively or to like know the different nuances of different phrases. So I'm actually considering for sure to come back to this part of the website and actually occasionally do some grammar practice and kind of learn the ins and outs a bit more of all these phrases that I've been hearing or reading throughout the years. Just like the graded reader content, you can't actually save your progress of these grammar points if you're not a paid member, but you can still read all the explanations, you can still participate in the exercises and check your work. And so I think this is definitely a great goldmine of grammar practice if you are looking again for that kind of more explicit instruction or kind of nuancing out different rules in Chinese grammar. So definitely a cool feature of the site that I'm planning on visiting again, especially since Do Chinese does not really have grammar instruction as part of their kind of key curriculum. They do have a few explanations now, I've noticed, for some grammar points, but grammar is not a huge focus of Do Chinese. It's mostly just on actually reading and reading comprehension. And so if you are looking again for more kind of direct instruction on grammar rules, this is a great free resource. And then finally, they also offer a number of HSK sample tests. If you are interested in taking the HSK, I think this is again a good resource where you can find lots of sample questions and practice taking the test and check your answers and stuff. You have access to several different versions of each level of HSK test, even for free. And if you are a paid member, then you have even more access to more sample tests as well. I'm not currently looking to take the HSK test anytime soon, so I'm probably not going to be using this particular part of the website. But if I do plan on taking it ever in the future, I think I will use this as another kind of free resource to either check my level or kind of get practice taking the test for free. I will say, although they do give access to several of the sample tests for free, once you've taken it and have it graded, although you can see your correct and incorrect answers, the explanations for many of the answers are behind a paywall. So if you do want like full explanations to why your answers are correct or incorrect, you would have to pay to have access to all of that. But again, in terms of being able to actually take the test and check your answers, that is all available for free. And then finally, for one last comparison between Mandarin Bean and Do Chinese, I'm going to put both of their pricing structures on the screen as well. You can see that while Do Chinese offers more options of pricing plans, overall Mandarin Bean is much cheaper, and they also offer the option of a lifetime membership as well, which can be nice if you're looking to do this for the long term, whereas that is not an option for Do Chinese. So overall, my thoughts on this website. Like I mentioned, I'm not planning on replacing my Do Chinese reading practice with Mandarin Bean per se. I might occasionally use it, but I much prefer the kind of design and little extra features, nicer audio that Do Chinese does offer. Plus, I really love their serialized stories as well, which are not really a thing on Mandarin Bean. However, when comparing free content to free content, you can't deny that Mandarin Bean has such a huge free library of lessons to access. So if you are looking just for free versus free comparisons, like I said, although Do Chinese does kind of update their content, I think weekly in terms of the free content that they have available for users, there's no denying that Mandarin Bean is stronger in terms of the amount of free resources available for Mandarin learners. So definitely something to keep in mind if you are trying to save some money in your Mandarin language learning journey. Not to mention that Mandarin Bean also has that grammar and HSK practice stuff as well, whereas Do Chinese doesn't really focus on those areas at all. Yeah, that is my basic breakdown of this new to me resource. Let me know if you've ever used Mandarin Bean before. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What is great or not so great about it? If you've tried the paid version, I'm very curious what that's like. I'm probably not gonna be putting money towards that right now to experiment with it, but I am very curious if you have paid for the membership. What do you think about the extra features? Are they worth it? Are they not? Let me know what you think of this resource, or if there's any other Mandarin resources that you'd like me to try or check out. I'm always looking again for new Mandarin resources beyond just my little comfort zone of Do Chinese. So let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that is it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. And until then, annyeong.